talk about Velma.
Oh, okay.
Talk about Velma because I have seen, like, I woke up this morning to like a slew of videos about Velma, and then
Yeah.
people talking about the Rotten Tomatoes score and everything else. What do we have to, Alan? I did not see it. Okay, so
Yeah,
this is all about
fortunately,
you, Alan.
fortunately, only half hour. I've only seen the first 2 episodes, but let's just get this out of the way. Uh, I'm going to take race out of it because that's the bait. That is absolutely the bait. If you criticize it, that's you just there are reasons why this show doesn't work, and the race swapping is not the real problem here. It's just a bad show. Um, it's I will describe Velma as the woke take on 80s teen sex comedies. There this whole movie, this whole TV show is about sex. That's all she talks about. But the reason it doesn't work is because it comes closest to a bad improv show than I've ever seen. Let me just get to and I'll describe a bad improv show to you. In this show, it's just talking. Velma Mindy Kaling just talks throughout the entire thing, and she's just commenting and trying to say funny things constantly. And the only time she doesn't talk is when some other character is not talking. There's no quiet or silent moment in this entire show. And then like a bad improv show, these episodes are all about commenting on things, commenting on how Fred is white, how Fred is a racist, how Fred has a small penis. She just needs to call out every little cultural point that you can, make some snide comment about, and it's just incessant. This whole show. There's a point where Daphne's two moms, they're police detectives. They're not very bright, and she calls out the fact that this is being a police detective is the only role they'll give lesbians. So you guys should be better than that. That's the comedy of the show. There are no jokes, and then it just gets worse from here. Everyone is unlikable, even Velma. There's a point in the show where Velma wants to track down her mother who went missing. And we find out, is she missing for nefarious reasons, or, as the show points out, because her father is an emasculated man who is weak, and that Velma herself is an annoying child. And it seems to implicate that that's why their mom went missing. And there's this whole storyline of how she needs to track down the file of how her mother is missing. When it's clear they're just annoying people, and she made the right decision and just got up and left. Let me see. So, yeah, the other thing is it makes all these references, like a bad improv show. It makes all these references to other things. Like it compares itself to Riverdale. And somehow when you do that, again, I've been to a lot of bad improv shows, and this is the commonality of it. It's the fact that people are always talking, people are always trying to be funny at everything they say, and then you get cheap laughs from either pointing out some reference that everyone seems to know, or you're calling out something simple like Trump's a racist or white people are racist, and it comes at it that way. And okay, so Velma, I'll make this point. Velma is an unlikable character. Everyone in the show is an unlikable character except Shaggy and Scooby. Except Scooby's not in this one. Shaggy has a crush on Velma, which we don't know why. Why would he have a crush on her? But everyone's unlikable, and it's not that you can't have a show about unlikable people. Curb Your Enthusiasm is that way. But the thing about Larry David being unlikable is he gets it in the end at every episode. While this one is just, they're unlikable, but people like that. They seem to think the audience likes that. So ultimately, the question I have for Velma is this. Who is the audience for this show? I mean, there's so much sex. The opening scene is in the girls' shower room, a very unsexy moment of the show. It's not for children, but this show is barely for teens. The animation is horrible. I much prefer the old Hanna-Barbera limited animation compared to this. And it's not funny. So who are they going for here? Who is the audience? And I think that's what people are picking up. And I think the mistake is just focusing in on race swapping. It's just fundamentally a bad comedy show. It's a bad sitcom. It's not even a good homage to Scooby-Doo. So it's just horrible. I think this is this year's first real bad show.
Wow. Well, that means I'm not going to watch it. I had no plans to watch it anyways. And Velma was like, when I was a kid, straight up, everyone liked Daphne. I had a crush on Velma. Why? She wore glasses, and I thought she was cute. And when I in junior high, my interest pivoted from comic books, Aurora model kits, movies to I didn't pivot, but included then girls. I always like girls with glasses. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Women with bad eyesight is.
And then she'd lose the glasses, and that would become a bit. I mean, that's comedy. The other thing is, Daphne is Asian in this, and she's a redheaded, curvaceous Asian, and so therefore I feel seen. I feel seen. Thank you.
Okay, so but what's the point of that? I don't know. I just and also isn't Shaggy like his name is Norville or something?
Yeah,
Norville?
I believe that's I mean that's his real name, but people call him Shaggy. But again, he's kind of the only normal person, but he's very nerdy. He has a crush on Velma. How do we know this? Because they say it.
Right.
There's no real evidence. I mean, this is what storytelling is you have to show us the motivations of these characters. You just can't state it, and then we have to believe it.
Right. It's sort of like it's lazy writing, but it's also like when Disney says, I'm a gay character. Like so I don't know. I feel like and I've said this before, we are currently living through the opposite of the Renaissance. And there have been, sort of short-lived, like TV that they would say, like when HBO started making, like every show was like great. This is maybe, decade plus ago. It was like the golden age of TV is now. We're living through a new golden age, right? Everything is just incredible. And now we're living through current times. We're living through the opposite of a golden age, the opposite of a renaissance. And we are going to look back on a lot of these television shows and movies is like, boy, that was a mistake. Or, once they get back and just sort of make Scooby-Doo, they just start telling good stories with Scooby-Doo and don't feel, or maybe create new characters rather than gender and race and do that.
I mean, this show has exactly the same problem as She-Hulk. There's no filter. There's no one outside of the project saying, oh, you're heading in the wrong direction.
That's exactly right. Here's my thought. I don't even blame Mindy Kaling, who I happen to like, and I think was a main creative on The Office, which was great. The Office holds
and
up.
Even her own show.
The Office, didn't she have her own show for a brief period?
Yeah, she did, and it ran several seasons.
Yeah, so yeah, and this is what annoys me is because what they're going to pivot to. They're going to pivot to what is the audience?
They're white supremacists.
Right. Yeah, because they don't like the show.
But that's the absolute least of the problems. In fact, if this show were a whole lot better, I would be fine with the race swapping. If they at least done something with it that was clever. I feel like but the show is just a mess. This show is an absolute mess.
I feel like all the race and gender swap stuff is a holdover from when comic books would introduce characters like introducing Batwoman. What? But they would create a new character named Batwoman or Batgirl, or there was a Bat Dog or Batmite. you remember Batmite?
Yeah,
It
Batman.
got
The one.
ridiculous. You know, you've run out of stories to tell when you're just doing that kind of thing, and that's this. Where comic books back in the 50s, in particular DC, it was just like the covers were just ridiculous for ridiculous sake. I'm gonna run. There's a guy who does this thing called Oddball Comics. Just look up Oddball Comics San Diego Comic-Con. He does a panel where he shows like weird comic book covers. He did an entire episode dedicated to Batman, and I screen capped all the covers. I'm gonna put it on my Bat Chris Gore Instagram account just so everyone can see them. But it just reminds me of that. It's like it's an experiment, and it's fine for one issue of a comic book, but an entire series like this is just, these are not. And also, if the primary attribute of a character is their identity, that's not a character. That's not a fully formed character. I mean, what do we know about Shaggy? He's a fraidy cat. He loves Scooby snacks. He's dedicated to his dog, Scoob, right? Remember Scrappy Doo? They brought in something cute. There are lots of sort of phases where it's just like,
and Dynamite.
yeah, whatever. Dynamite. Oh my God.